Yeah, I think what I'm thinking about when I'm hearing you is if me and you went back to a place in our life where we really didn't have money.
Yes.
And you think about someone who's in that position who's listening to us right now, and in their head they're thinking, but how do I become abundant when I don't have? Well, like my natural thing is like, I'm just struggling to pay my next bill. And me and you have both been in those situations.
Yes.
I remember when I was growing up, I grew up in a house where we had just enough. Like that was the language my parents used.
Yes.
We have just enough. And my parents would often argue about money. I remember I wasn't allowed to buy cool shoes and stuff. I'd have like the knockoff cheapest brand from whatever, which was, I actually didn't have an issue with that. I didn't have an issue with any of it because we had food and that was my normality. But it's really interesting because the amount of times growing up, I started working when I was 14. And I think that gave me a really interesting sense of how hard it was to make money. Because I started working at 14, I used to get paid £2 per street that I delivered newspapers on.
Wow.
So imagine there's 100 houses. It's going to take me like...
Not per house.
No.
Per street.
Per street.
Oh my gosh.
So I did 5 streets. And so I'd get £10 at the end of the week if I did 5 streets. And each street would take me at least an hour.
Wow.
Maybe, I don't know, something like that. And so I'd walk around, I'd pull this thing and I'd deliver it. And I got an understanding of how hard it was to make money. But then that became a story for me, going to your point.
Making money is hard.
Making money is hard. And that there's only a certain amount of money you're allowed to make at this level. Like you're a 14-year-old.
Yes.
Then I worked in retail. I stacked shelves at a grocery store. I worked at a store called Morrison's, which is like working at Walmart. And there I remember I got paid like £5 an hour. And then you get like time and a half if you work the weekends and the evenings. All of this to say that I probably spent my whole life only seeing zero in my bank account because everything that would come in would pay for my phone bill, my car insurance that I paid for, whatever it was that I was taking care of. So I wasn't relying on my parents, apart from I lived in their home, obviously. But I always felt like money came in, money went out. And my story around money was people who have money are doing something bad. So I lived in a home. Whenever we went to a friend's home, and they had a nice home, my family would always say, oh yeah, but they do dodgy stuff to make money.
Yeah.
All the language around money was people with money are doing bad stuff. So in my head, it was like, oh, if you have money, then you must be doing shady stuff because we don't have money and we're not doing any shady stuff.
You must be hurting people to make money.
Correct.
Right,
in some way, exploiting.
Taking advantage of.
Yeah, taking advantage, whatever. So everything you're saying is so true because then when I got to a point in my life where I was just trying to do good and I had something like 150, 200 million views on content.
And you had no money.
I was 4 months away from being broke.
I met you at this
time.
time.
I met you around this time.
I met you this time, yes.
And it was really interesting to me because that was the time that I was actually doing this work, which is why this book's so powerful because I realized that I couldn't, even with 150, 200 million views, it wasn't that made money because my story and my personality style was anxious. I felt like it was wrong to make money. Like that's actually what it was. I felt like making money was bad. And so until I got to that.
Did you believe you were worthy of making more money?
I believed I was worthy, but I believed that you had to be bad to make money.
Wow. So you didn't want to be bad. You didn't want to have a lot of money and associate, I have a lot of money and I'm bad.
Correct.
I'm bad and wrong and I'm hurting others in order to help myself.
Correct. Because good people are poor.
Wow.
Right? Like to be a good person of good character means to not have money.
Wow. And that was based on a belief system that you developed
over time that I didn't even know. Like if you would have told me about this 8 years ago, I would have been like, I don't know, which is why I think these reflections are so important, people.
If you're stressed, if you're overwhelmed, if you're anxious, if you're constantly in drama, that is not abundance. A high net worth does not mean you are free. Money is an energy. And how we think and how we feel will dictate the energy we have towards it. When you have no money, when you're broke, when you feel stressed out, overwhelmed, burnt out, you lost your job, you feel like you need help. And you may need help. And the best way to create abundance is to go from helplessness to helpfulness.
So when you're in that place, taking your story as well, taking my story, How do we start to rewrite that story now that we're aware?
Well, it's so powerful that you said that. And I remember this vividly because I met you on Halloween 2017, right?
Yeah, 8 years ago, yeah.
And I said, like, cancel the day. Let's just hang out all day.
Yeah, you had a book coming out that day.
I had a book that came out that day on Halloween, which is called The Mask of Masculinity. Anyways, how do we rewire our brain around money to create more abundance?
When you have nothing.
When you have lack. How do we rewire our brain to create abundance when you have nothing and you don't know how to earn more money? The first thing I think you need to be aware of is that your beliefs dictate your behaviors. So if you believe that money is bad, or people who make a lot of money are bad and take advantage of others, and therefore me having lack right now means I'm a good person and I don't want to become a bad person, then that belief is going to dictate your behaviors and you're going to stay in lack. You're going to stay in scarcity and you're going to see opportunities that only give you just enough, as opposed to opportunities that could create incredible wealth for yourself financially, but also an emotional wealth that you've never had before. So that's one of the things you want to understand is first that your beliefs dictate your behaviors.
That's a big one, by the way. That's huge.
Yeah.
Like that, I just want to point that out for people. Like that's so huge.
True, because your belief,
it's huge.
Your belief got you to a place of, I am impacting hundreds of millions of people from these videos that I created with my talents, but I don't know how to make money with them. And I don't know if I actually should, because then I could be bad and wrong, or people could perceive me as I did something bad to make this money.
Correct.
And I'm a spiritual person. I'm a monk. I've done all these things. I don't want to have that life. But I want to make an impact and I don't want to be poor. So I think a lot of people are struggling with that mindset.
What are the other ones you hear? What are the other, focusing on that belief spirit, what are you hearing from people about their belief? That's my belief. And that's very much my history and story, as you said. What other stuff do you hear from people?
The biggest shift that will create abundance in your life is a mindset habit in unlocking wealth for yourself. And one of the big lies, or one of the big blocks that holds people back from financial opportunity, is that I cannot be generous with my time, my wisdom, my knowledge, or my secrets to others, because if I am, they will take it and run with it, and I will be left with nothing. So therefore, I'm going to hoard my energy, I'm going to hoard my time, my knowledge, and only keep it to me so that others don't have good ideas or have my help. And from all the different billionaires and millionaires and financial leaders in the world that I've interviewed, I know you've interviewed a lot of them, there is a question I would always ask individuals who've made incredible amounts of money, and that keeps helping them create more wealth year after year. And they all say the same thing. Those who have had a sustainably good heart in the process, is that you have to have a generous mindset. So the mindset habit is the first thing that you have to think about when creating abundance with your money, but also feeling abundant internally. And it's coming with generosity. So if you feel like you're stuck right now, if you feel like you have nothing, this was what you were at 8 years ago when I met you. This was where I was at 15 years ago when I was on my sister's couch. I had no money. I was in student loan debt. I was sleeping on her couch. I didn't think I had any skills. I didn't have a college degree yet. I was like, how am I going to make money if I don't know how to make money and I don't have any talent or skill and I'm in debt? It didn't understand it. It felt impossible. And the thing that I shifted when I started meeting money mentors is I needed to learn the first habit, which is the mindset habit, which is a habit of generosity and gratitude.
So what did that look like then? What was the practical step?
What it looks like was, how do I meet money people who have money, people who have success, people who can teach me knowledge? I needed to come with a sense of energy, of curiosity, of possibilities, and of joy. I literally wrote a list down of all these different things that I thought were my talents. I go, how can I make money? I don't have any skills. I played football and now I'm injured. What can I do for people? But I was like, well, I'm really curious. Maybe I can just ask people questions. And never did I think in a million years that I could have a 12-year-old podcast just asking questions and make millions of dollars a year. I never thought that was possible. I was in my early 20s and I was like, you know what? I've got a lot of energy. I've got a lot of passion. So let me bring passion and energy to other people and excitement. And that energy was infectious. And there's a currency that's tied to that energy of passion, joy, excitement, curiosity. That currency may not look like money, but for those who are older, who have no more passion, they're burnt out, they're exhausted, It is the highest form of currency. They want that. They crave that energy. They've burnt themselves out for decades. They want to feel young again. They want to feel curious again. They want to feel excited again. And when you come to someone with that energy, you are bringing a different mindset. So the mindset of curiosity, joy, passion, presence, like just connecting with someone and asking them a question is such a valuable currency. So we have to look into these untapped skills, talents, currencies inside of us that are hidden to others, but inside of us, they can create magic.
Yeah.
That's one of them. Another one is just being generous with your time, with your resources, with your ideas, and helping others succeed.
I love that because I didn't even know that then, but I was doing it unconsciously.
Yes, you were.
So I really wanted to interview incredible people, but I didn't have a platform at the time when I met you. And so I'd partnered up with NASDAQ. And by the way, just to be really clear with everyone, I didn't get paid to do this.
Yes.
So NASDAQ had something where everyone was using Facebook Live. And I said, hey, could I have an hour in the NASDAQ building whenever I have an amazing guest that says yes, so that I can interview them on NASDAQ Live, and they would put the picture up on the middle of Times Square.
On a billboard.
So now I could reach out to people I looked up to.
And that's the reason why I went on the show.
Exactly.
So I didn't know who you were until I saw, hey, I can get you on a billboard on Times Square. I go, that's value to me right now.
I'm being generous and I'm trying to find a way because I don't have anything to offer.
Nothing to offer.
But I admire you. And it was all people I admired. It was yourself. It was Ryan Holiday said yes. Me and Ryan had met maybe once before that, but Ryan came on that show. And there were a bunch of other authors. Deepak Chopra came on that show with me. And it was all people that I'd admired, looked up to for a long time. And exactly that. That's how, first of all, we became great friends off of it. But the point is, it's exactly what you're saying, that even though I felt I had nothing to offer, I had to find a way to create something to offer someone of value. I didn't get paid for it, for that show. I didn't get paid to run it. I didn't make any money from it. But it created an opportunity for me to connect with friends, to connect with people that were doing incredible things.
Yes.
And of course, allowed me to showcase my talents so that then I could show it to other people. I remember I had Ryan Harwood on the show, who founded Pure Wow, and he just sold it to Gary Vee.
Yep.
That's how I met Gary. So Ryan came on my show and he was just like, Jay, I love you. You're a great interviewer. Like, you have such great energy. He really liked my passion. And he said, you got to come meet Gary. And I was like, no way. Like, I love Gary. And so he took me to meet Gary for the first time. We had a meeting in his office. And that's how I built my relationship with him. It was all thanks to Ryan. And so when you think about it now, like when I've never thought about it until what you're saying.
Yes.
Now when I look back, Ryan's been on the podcast like 4 times now, whatever. I love his books. So many relationships came out of that. And so I think when you live in a world of I have nothing to offer and I don't have anything, it becomes really hard to create.
And most people think when I have nothing, I need to take from someone else.
Yes.
I don't have anything, so I can't give anything if I don't have it. So I need someone to give me money right now because I'm broke, I'm poor, I'm stuck, I'm stressed, I'm anxious. I can't think out of myself. And this first habit is really gratitude and generosity is the gateway to abundance. And it may not mean you're going to make money right away.
Yes.
You didn't make money by having me on the show right away, but we became friends. I helped you, you helped me. Over time, we helped each other create more abundance together, not only financially, which we've done together, but a type of richness that isn't about money. And this book, again, it's a money book, but it's really like, it doesn't matter how much money you have if you don't feel like you have a rich life inside of you.
That's real.
It does not matter how much is in your bank account, how big your net worth is. If you don't feel like you have an abundant life, if you're stressed, if you're overwhelmed, if you're anxious, if you're constantly in drama, that is not abundance. A high net worth does not mean you are free. And the goal is for us to feel free every moment of our lives as often as possible and allow money to be a tool to create incredible opportunities, memories, moments where you can be generous with it, with the people you care about, the causes you care about, the institutions you care about, to serve more people and feel good about doing it, not feel bad about doing it. And that's part of this process. Most people, when they lack money, they want to take from others. They want someone to help them. And you need to flip it on its head and say, how can I help others? Even when I have nothing, that is the time to be more generous and in more gratitude and say, thank you for this opportunity. Even if you have to just lie to yourself for a moment and say, I'm stuck. I'm on my sister's couch. I have no money. I'm 4 months. In 4 months, I'm going to be out of an apartment and I don't know where the money's coming. Just say, thank you, God. Thank you, universe, for this opportunity to learn.
Yeah.
This opportunity to grow, because I'll never be here again. I don't know if you've had Ken Honda on, but he wrote—
I know Happy Money, but I haven't had him on.
Dude,
no.
he's so cool. I love this approach to this. And he's talking similar style about how do you just live a rich life, irrelevant of whether you have money or not. And again, this is what I want people to get to. When you are poor, when you're broke, when you're struggling financially, it feels really hard to feel abundant and rich. And we want to start shifting our thoughts, our emotions, and our energy on, okay, I know I'm in this financial situation. It doesn't feel good, but in order to get out of it, it's not feeling worse about it. It's starting to feel better about me, better about my values, my character, my kindness, my generosity, and seeing how can I add value to others. And that's the first thing we need to be thinking about. How can I get into a richness inside of me to serve others and take care of me at the same time? And one of the practices or these social experiments or exercises similar to you that Ken has is that whenever money comes to him, whether it's a check, whether it's a Venmo payment, whatever it might be, he just says thank you to that money. He looks at that number. If it's a penny, if it's $1 million, if it's your normal check you get coming in the mail every 2 weeks, he looks at it and says thank you, and literally opens his heart and loves that money that comes to him. He says, thank you. Where do you want to go? Do you want to go to my bank account? Do you want to go to my savings? Do you want to go to investments? Do you want to go towards paying off debt? Do you want me to give you away? And it might be a weird kind of like,
No, I like it,
exercise, but I love this approach to just being mindful of money when it comes. Say thank you. And then when you pay bills, when you pay off debt, say thank you as well. Thank you for allowing me to pay off this debt. Thank you for paying my cell phone bill so I can call my friends and family that I love. Thank you for the ability to live a richer life.
Yeah.
And when we start to approach money in that way, it doesn't mean money's going to fall from the sky and come to us abundantly, but we're going to start to feel more rich and abundant internally, which that energy is what will attract more opportunities. Yeah. Those opportunities could lead to millions. This hostess that came to you, she brought that thankful energy, that present energy, that loving, joyful, curious energy, and it created an abundance of opportunities and connection.
You've reminded me of two really amazing things that I love that I want to throw out because they're not us. It's about other people.
Tell me.
Last night I was at a premiere of a new show coming out on Hulu called Delhi Boys. It's a full South Asian cast. I was really excited to be just at the premiere and just seeing my friends do this amazing thing. And it was fascinating because me and Lily Singh were together. You know Lily. And so me and Lily were together and we're hanging out. And this guy said, hey, can I film you for 2 seconds? He was working at the event. And I believe this is what he does on his own. I don't know his name, but I'll have to find it. And he took a quick swipe of Lily, like one shot. And she was like, oh my God, Jay, you got to do this. He took a quick swipe with me. He edited it on the spot and he created this amazing reel of the event. And he was just doing it with quick, and he was taking like 2 seconds of our time. And me and Lily both turned around and go, is this what you do? Like, how can we work with you?
Right.
And because it was such a great skill and he was showcasing his talent.
He didn't charge you.
He didn't charge us. He didn't ask for us or anything. He showed us his talent. And all of a sudden, both of us were like this. A few months ago, I went to a restaurant that I'd never been to with some friends. This wasn't like a fancy restaurant. Just, it was a great restaurant, but it wasn't like fancy or anything like that. The lady who was hosting, she had so much energy and so much passion. She was like taking our order, but then when we asked her for recommendations, she knew every detail. And she got 3 job offers at that table. Me and my friend and everyone were like, what do you do? What do you want to do?
Let's hire you.
Yeah, let's hire you because there was such an energy. And so what you're saying is so true because I'm now looking back at my own life and thinking about moments where I've had that visceral reaction to someone. And she was like, this is what I want to do. This is my dream. And one of my mates was like, all right, well, let's connect. He thinks she could work with him. But it was, again, the same thing you're saying. It was just energy and passion.
Energy. She didn't have any other, it didn't matter about her college degree.
We didn't even know her resume. We hadn't even looked at it.
It doesn't matter what other skills you have. If you have energy, passion, and a curiosity to care about someone, you can go so far in that potential relationship.
Yeah.
Speaking about, hostess or waiters or waitresses, there were studies that psychologists did around tipping and waiters. And I don't know the exact statistic. I know it was over a certain amount, but I don't know the exact percentage. But there are 3 things that you can do as a waiter to make more money.
Oh, interesting.
Getting higher tips based on psychology and these studies. One is just introducing yourself and saying your name. My name is Lewis Howes. What's your name? Thanks for being here today.
Yeah.
Saying your name creates a deeper connection.
I agree.
Making a recommendation of something. You said she was making recommendations. Making a recommendation. Hey, I really recommend this if you're into this, or these are the best 2 options I would recommend. Gets you a higher chance of getting a better tip. And complimenting the person on their food choice. I'll have the burger or the vegan burger. That's a great choice. Those 3 things will increase your ability to earn more tips. And it's not like you had some other skill. You just created connection with someone and you were trying to bring that energy to them.
Yeah.
And money is an energy. And how we think and how we feel will dictate the energy we have towards it. And also, you create money through your energy. And so she had a certain energy with you and you're like, man, this is amazing. You're recommending it to millions of people about this person that you just met for the first time. It's like you can create so many opportunities for not only financial abundance, but spiritual abundance by bringing generosity, curiosity, energy, joy, and love to someone's life. And it doesn't have to take hours. This was 5 minutes of this person's time.
Yeah.
She got 3 job offers over that night.
Yeah.
She could have had a different energy and said, okay, here's your table, sit down. And she would have had nothing. But she could have went to Harvard and had all these other skills. And none of that would have mattered without the energy she brought.
People who don't know this story or have forgotten about it, like D-Rock and Gary Vee, like that's their journey, right? Like D-Rock basically went up to Gary and was like, hey, I'll just edit videos for you for free. And now he's been traveling the world with Gary for the last, God knows how long they've been working together.
Now, yeah.
Yeah, and he's such a great guy and he's awesome. And it's just, but it all came from that idea of, hey, I'm just going to edit these videos for you and do this.
And again, going back to what we said before, is like when you have no money, when you're broke, when you feel stressed out, overwhelmed, burnt out, you lost your job, you feel like you need help and you may need help. And the best way to create abundance is to go from helplessness to helpfulness. So instead of saying, I feel helpless, I don't know what to do, you've got to flip it and say, how can I be helpful? How can I help myself, but by also helping someone else? How can I shift out of this negative energy into an energy of abundance, which is so hard to do when you have nothing. I remember for 1.5 years feeling trapped on my sister's couch with no money, thinking, how am I going to do this? And there just has to be a decision where you say, I'm going to get up and I'm going to get out of this funk, out of this energy, and choose and decide to bring energy to someone else without asking for anything in return. And when you do that, you'll start to build momentum. And that's what's going to help you get to the next level. The biggest trap is when you feel scarce and you start making money and you still feel trapped. When you see everyone else having fun with money and going on that trip with their girlfriends or buying that expensive car to show off to their guy friends or getting the nice watches or having the cool shoes, and you thinking, oh, if I could really have money, then I could have these things that would make me feel cool or feel better. But if we can approach life and just be like, man, life is so good with what I have, that is true wealth. I asked them, if money walked in and you were at a party, how would you respond? And they said, I would run to the bar. I would not make eye contact. I would gossip behind their back to other people there about money. I would look down at them, but then I would use them and abuse them because I would really need money. And I would ghost them afterwards. And I go, wow. And they were like, yeah, I know, it's really bad. But they were being honest.
Yeah.
So I want people to be honest. Like, what is your relationship with money? And just imagine,
that's crazy.
If you were money and someone treated you that way.
I remember the day after I realized I was 4 months away from being broke, I must have emailed 1,000 people saying, I will do anything. Here are my skills. I will edit videos. Yeah. I will consult. I'll run your social media. Those weren't things I wanted to do in my life. But I needed to create a foundation from which I could then invest that into what I wanted to do. And actually that year, everything I made, I invested into starting this podcast.
Yes.
So everything I made this year went into launching On Purpose because that's not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to edit other people's videos. I didn't want to launch social media profiles. I didn't want to coach and consult, but I had those skills.
Yes.
And I think this is one of the things sometimes is that we all have skills that are valuable somewhere. And they may not be the skills that you want to do for the rest of your life.
No, but the season of life.
But the season of life. And I think there's something to be said for that, because we all want to be paid for what we love doing. But even my life today, there's a lot of things I have to do.
Yes.
And there's a lot of things I love to do. And that's life.
Yeah, and like you said, the seasonal side of things, like when I was just getting started making money, this was in 2008, 2009, 2010, I was using LinkedIn as a platform and a tool to meet CEOs, executives, and business leaders. And I was helping them originally with their LinkedIn profile. And it's just saying, hey, how can I help you optimize your profile? I see that it's missing some things here. I'll do it for free. And I did this to build relationships with them. And through that, they just all wanted to help me and give back to me. And then eventually someone said, hey, I'll pay you for this. This is really helpful. And I was like, oh, I can make money on LinkedIn. It's not what I wanted to do, but I had a skill to do it right then. So I did that for a few years. And once I had that foundation, I used that money to launch the School of Greatness as well, because I had a couple of years of runway now. And I didn't want to do that forever, but I did it for the season. I got skills, I made money, and I created a sense of freedom for myself to do what I really wanted to do later.
Yeah. What do you have to say to people who are saying that you can manifest money? Do you agree with that idea of?
It's an interesting story. I was in New York last week, and I said to myself, and I have a lot of these different exercises and games in the book, to just give people as social experiments. I think it's really powerful to give yourself experiment, because I think when you experiment, you allow yourself to explore possibilities. And when you create an experiment for yourself, you allow for the idea of magic to enter your life. So I want you to just, as you're watching or listening, I want you to say, I allow for magic and abundance to manifest in my life. I'm going to create a possibility that this can happen in my life. A moment, a synchronicity. Someone might call me out of the blue. Someone might hand me money randomly. I'm going to allow for this moment to happen and this magic to happen. So I said to myself, I want to follow my own practices, right? And I went to see our friend Mel Robbins in Boston, and then I was in New York for a few days. And I just said to myself, money comes to me abundantly and freely, and I see it everywhere. I just said this to myself every morning when I woke up and when I went out of the hotel. I said, money comes to me abundantly and freely, and I see it everywhere. And I'm a magnet for money. I'm a magnet for money. I just kept saying this energy. I'm a magnet for money. I was just playful, this social experiment. And when I was at Mel's, a penny dropped on the floor. Someone was carrying a box and a penny fell. And I said, oh, look, money comes to me. I see it everywhere. There's a penny.
Yeah.
And there's a point to this story. And I pick it up and I say, Mel, do you want this? And she goes, no, it's yours. And I go, thank you, I receive. Because when I relax, I receive. And I'm a magnet for money. Even if it was a penny, I could notice it. And I was like, all right, it came to me. See, here's a win. Here's a little win. Let me do this again. The next day I go to New York City and I'm in the subway. It's freezing right now in New York. It's like 15 degrees. And I'm just saying this to myself in the subway. And as I get off the subway, I go up the stairs and it's freaking filthy in the New York subway, right? And the stairs are dirty and I see a penny heads up. And I thought to myself, this is filthy. This is dirty. It's not valuable. It's not enough money. I don't need to pick this up. But I was like, no, I'm doing this experiment. Money comes to me abundantly and freely. I'm a magnet for money and I'm going to manifest money, right? And so I see it's heads up. I pick it up, put it in my pocket. And I just say, thank you, money, for coming to me. The next day, I put it on my bedside table. I don't think anything of it. The next day, I wake up and I look at this penny. And I said, because I'm doing this experiment every day, I'm a magnet for money. Money comes to me abundantly and freely. And I look at it as a reminder, these two pennies. Look, this is a reminder that money came to me. Maybe it's not thousands of dollars or millions of dollars. It's not something that's magically right here, but it's a reminder that something is possible. And I flipped over this one penny. Oh no, I looked at the penny because it was heads up and I noticed something. I go, oh, that's really interesting. It said 1945 on this penny. That's an 80-year-old penny. And I go, huh, that's unique. I haven't seen a penny that old in a long time. And I flip it over and I notice something, and I get chills thinking about it. I notice it's a wheat penny. I don't know if you know what a wheat penny is.
No, I don't.
So a wheat penny looks different than a normal penny. It's got like two stalks of wheat on the outside of the penny. It's this old penny. And I look it up and I Google 1945 wheat penny value. And one just sold, I kid you not, I get chills thinking about it. One just sold, guess for how much?
I have no idea.
$4,000.
No way.
Online. One sold for $4,000. Now, it's all based on the condition and all these different things. Like, who knows? Maybe it's worth $20. Maybe it's worth $5,000. Maybe it's worth $100. But the idea is that there was more value inside of that penny than what met the eye originally.
Yeah.
And the experiment of, let me be open to possibilities for money to come to me. And what I thought was 2 pennies might be $2,000. And all I had to do was be willing to look for it.
Yeah.
Be willing to pick it up and say, I receive, thank you. If I didn't look for it, if I didn't set that intention, if I didn't see the possibilities in front of me, I may not have received that penny that would be worth thousands. And it's the same thing in life. We may not see the opportunity in front of us right now. We may not reach out to the people we already know and say, hey, this is what I'm looking to create in my life. I have these skills. I have these talents. Is there anything that you need right now that I can be of service for you with?
Yeah.
And that's for that first year, how you created multiple 6 figures in that first year when you had nothing, was reaching out to hundreds of people. That was you either setting the intention, seeing that there might be possibilities, and doing the work to manifest hundreds of thousands that first 6 months. So by doing that effort, setting the intention, by saying, I'm open to possibilities. I'm open to receiving opportunities that come to me, but I have to be willing to look for them. I have to be willing to ask for them. I have to be willing to put myself out there and receive and say, yes, thank you. I will do this work. And that's what I think people need to be thinking about. Can you manifest millions? Yes, if you're willing to set a clear intention, if you're willing to reach out and say, here's what I'm willing to offer and add value in,